I basically just got the cans and started painting. I mean, that's literally all I did. I just did it until I got it. I'm not saying it happened really quickly or overnight, but I just kept
practiced.
And I was basically just going around to a bunch of different restaurants and businesses in Charlotte and saying, "Hey, you have this cool wall right here. Can I paint it?"
Yeah.
And if they said yes, I'd paint it. I'd ask them to pay for materials. If they said no, I'd be like, "All right, I'll still paint it."
Yeah.
Because I didn't care. I just wanted to practice this stuff.
And welcome to another episode of the Bandit Room. My name is Charles. I'm joined here in the studio today by Mr. Caleb.
Hello again.
How you doing, Caleb?
Good.
You hanging in there?
Good. Hanging in there.
Yeah? Awesome. Across the table from me, we have our guest for this episode, Mr. Darion Fleming. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. Thank you.
Awesome.
For having me.
Darion, also known as DaFlemingo, is an artist, muralist in the Charlotte area. You've had featured works in Rock Hill, Charlotte. Throughout the Carolinas, you've had work featured in the New York Times, which is pretty fantastic. And you've got work outside of the Carolinas, right?
Yep.
You had a piece in, was it Montana?
Yeah, Montana. Did a festival out there. Painted up in Maryland, D.C., not South yet.
Gotcha.
But soon.
All right. Fantastic.
Nice. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we were introduced to your work through the piece you did here in Rock Hill. What was it called? Dreamer?
Dreamer. Yeah.
Dreamer? Yeah, fantastic. Our old office was like right...
Two doors down?
A couple doors down from where the mural was.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
we were right across the street from Amelie's there.
Oh, heck
and,
yeah.
It was a good spot for when we needed it.
Yeah.
And
should have heckled me more.
Yeah, I should. That was you were doing that during the COVID era, right?
I think so. Man, God, I should have looked through my works and done a quick little refresher.
I want to say it was like, at least on your website, it said like 2021, I think.
Maybe
I think it was. I think it was
February
of 2021.
Gotcha.
So it was pretty chilly. I remember.
I think we were working
for a few
from
of those
home
days.
at that
Yeah,
point,
we were.
So, yeah. Otherwise, that would.
It was still crazy.
Yeah.
At that point, still weird times.
Yeah,
totally.
it was for sure. So, let's talk about how you got into the field. So how'd you get started?
I've got a weird story.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have any business being at the point that I'm at. I don't have any classical training. I didn't go to school to paint. I didn't think this is what I was going to be doing when I got older. I pretty much saw two other artists, Matt Hooker and Matt Moore.
Okay.
Two pretty well-known artists in Charlotte. In the North Carolina area, and saw them painting one of their better-known pieces now, which is the Poseidon mural right on Central in Plaza Midwood, which is a pretty artsy neighborhood in itself. And so living there at the time, being around like a lot of creative things and seeing a lot of street art, it was just something I wanted to try to do. And so I saw them using spray paint. I looked up, what kind of spray paint muralists are using. Found a local store, Cheap Joe's, art supply. Yeah. Went over there, spent a bunch of money on materials that I probably had no business using at the time. And then, tried my hand at them for a bit and just, started painting and did some big murals and, the ball kept rolling.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, did you have like an aptitude for art, drawing as a child?
I did art as a child. My parents took me to a few classes and stuff. I mean, I really did not go to school for it or have really any general training. I just kind of they put me in a lot of environments where I would be drawing. Where I was with a class of other kids where we would look at a still, have a vase or flowers or whatever and just trying to draw it, and obviously some of them look pretty pretty childlike and crazy and nuts color palettes and stuff like that, but a lot of them I was very keen on, like trying to get as realism and realistic with the quality of it as I possibly could, which is kind of what I do now with my work. So it's funny that I fell back into that, but
that's wild. So not incredibly long then, right? I mean, like you said you were, because that Poseidon mural is not that old, right? I mean,
so I've only been doing this for, I guess this is my 6th year. 2018 is when I started.
So what were you doing before this professionally, or?
Yeah, so I did art from, age of maybe 10 to 15 or so.
Sure,
and when I was, halfway through high school, I was starting to get into other things, and art was becoming very much so a homework rather than something I was enjoying.
Gotcha.
So that's why I kind of moved away from that, and I really didn't pick it up, back until 2018.
Interesting.
But right out of high school, I did cycling professionally.
Oh, wow.
Where I was doing road racing.
Wow.
So I was on a national racing calendar, just doing continental races with a local team where we would travel the country and do some races, stage races where there's, a crit race involved, and long, extensive road race and that sort of thing.
Wow.
Which was really fun and really cool. And then I was training in Texas in 2012 and tore my hamstring.
Oh.
And at that point, I talked with my parents, and we kind of decided it was time for me to go to school and do something different.
Yeah.
So that's when I moved to Charlotte.
And where was home for you? Where'd you grow up?
Grew up in Arlington, Virginia, which is just outside of Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
And I was actually born in D.C.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time in D.C. in that neighborhood. And
fantastic. And what was your Charlotte connection?
Absolutely nothing. I knew one person here.
Yeah.
So I came down for a weekend just to kind of check it out and get a feel for the city, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And I like the person here
enough
to move in with them. So I did that to save some money for the first couple of years, and then moved in by myself. And I've been living here for 11 years now.
All right.
So.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, all right. So you were a cyclist, a professional cyclist for a while. Now was that a childhood passion as well? Did you kind of do that through at high school or
not
anything?
at all? No, I picked it up. I have a tendency to just
kind of pick something up and run with it.
Yeah, it's exactly. I mean, literally, that's what I do. Like I take ADHD. The ADHD that I have, I take that to the next level in all of my pursuits of life.
Yeah.
But no, I get super into something, and I do it at 110%.
Interesting.
Until I can't take it anymore, and then I get burnt out on it, and then I stop, and then sometimes I revisit it, and sometimes I never do.
Wow. Okay. Where are you with art? Are you
Definitely
still in it?
revisiting.
Definitely revisiting.
Yeah, so it got super burnt out.
Yeah.
For really the
take on a lot of projects at once. When things were blowing up.
For sure.
Yeah.
For the last couple of years, I've been just mega burnt out. Still doing work and still doing projects, but taking way less.
Yeah.
And to the point that I don't have quite as many to say no to now.
Gotcha.
Because I did say no to so many.
Okay.
But no, definitely kind of like rejuvenating myself, and I'm feeling very motivated and amped up to get back into some really exciting projects that I have coming up. So
fantastic.
So I'm excited.
Do you have a piece you're working on right now?
I don't have anything I'm working on right now. I have design. I'm into the design process on two different projects. One is pretty extensive with a few different walls and installations. So,
is any of that public yet, or those are all?
Not quite.
Those are not.
No.
Gotcha.
Yeah, not quite.
Okay. Not fishing for details here.
Yeah, I mean one in Noda, which is going to be that's the pretty extensive one.
Fantastic. We'll be on the lookout for it. That blows me away that you just like picked it up just not that long ago and didn't, because like your work is so incredibly detailed. It strikes me as somebody who's just been like, I would have imagined you've been like figure drawing from like, a young age or something like that. But it's just picking it up and running with it.
That process was very weird. And I think spray paint was a big eye opener. I think it's interesting that like when I got back into art in 2018, I got back into it strictly with spray paint.
Yeah.
I did not pick up any brush, any pencil, any colored pencil. It was just spray paint that I was using. Gotcha. And so the great thing about spray paint is it makes blending really, really easy.
Yeah.
And like the way that you can kind of move through different values of color and create super hyper realistic looking stuff, or not, whatever you want.
Right.
I just really picked up on that and really enjoyed the idea of blending those colors to get the image that I'm looking at on my phone and just hyper focused on that the same way I do other things, and just until I got it. And so,
wow, that's fantastic. Have you had any other passions in your life that you've run through 100% between cycling and art?
Yeah, running.
Okay.
That did running competitively. Track and cross country. Basketball was super into basketball for a long time. Skateboarded for like 10 years. Got really good at it. Had a sponsor. And stopped doing that like right when I got into high school because I got super into basketball.
What is it? What's going on with you? You kind of you get to something, you get to a certain level, and you're like, I've lost my interest.
It's weird.
I can go no further.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I hate it a lot because, it takes a lot of the like fun out of it.
Gotcha.
I feel like.
Gotcha.
Because I'll get to wherever point I thought was the goal to get to, and then I'm there, and then I lose the interest and fun aspect of
Interesting.
Because it's no longer, I'm not trying to like solve a puzzle.
Would you say you're hyper competitive, even if it's just against?
I don't seek it, but
even if it's just against yourself, of trying to be better than before.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm also just very brutal on myself.
Yeah,
I think a lot of us are just like.
Yeah, well,
we want to be better as people.
You kind of have to be if you want to get better at anything. You have to be hard on yourself, but you obviously have a mind for this kind of thing. Whether it's saying like when you're doing these hyper realistic projects, and the Dreamer one downtown, obviously that's very detailed as far as the hair and.
There we go. Oh yeah, the hair.
The hair. I mean, it's like you're looking at it.
It's really the hair and the clothing, and that's kind of like those are just kind of the standout things as far as the realism aspect.
Yeah, and then a bit of a departure for you is the crayon writing on the wall. So I'm guessing that was not spray paint that you used for that?
No, no, it was all brush.
Brush, okay.
Yeah,
so that was
just brush with
foray into brush work with that one.
It was so fun, man. Yeah. Just looking at that, it was that was such a fun thing to paint because, like, just doing so much detail with her, and then being done with everything, and then going in and installing. Because this is how I painted it. I did her drop shadow first.
Yeah.
And then I did her, and then I did the crayon drawing on top of that. So. Like doing the crayon last for me, just like getting in there with the brush and like and just being sloppy was just like so much fun.
Was it? Okay, good. You talk a little bit about the story behind that piece. Obviously, you see it. It's a girl drawing on the wall. It's beautiful enough to be like, I like it, But there's also kind of a message there, and I think talking about like if you want to talk a little bit about what that piece means for you.
I mean, the whole idea behind it was just like having an imagery there that. It expressed that like importance of having children, giving them the ability to like express themselves creatively.
Yeah.
She has a crayon, and it's like, I mean, you can put anything in their hand, and it's like they're gonna draw it out and dream about it and sleep and dream again, and then create it, and then So that's kind of what it's all about, and she's
seeing a character. She looks like she's drawn herself into a spaceship. Yeah, she's drawing
herself, going through space, and
So you're getting a little bit of the arts and the sciences there.
Yeah, exactly.
With the
but also, there's just like a massive. I mean, I don't know if it's as much going on now as there was when I painted this, but there was a massive push for in Rock Hill for arts, like especially education wise on the kids level, and I did a couple of readings with some classes after I painted this.
Nice.
And just talked about like, creative things and like painting and, working this sort of job and that sort of stuff. But that was another big aspect to it. And having the kid up there is just because they're doing so much in Rock Hill for that sort of initiative, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool.
And the Mural Mile initiative, which is that still going on?
Yeah, there's still projects going on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's going well. And the person that you used as the model for this, that was somebody you knew.
Yep. Yeah, a good friend of mine, Ernie Pierce. He's a videographer, photographer, really talented guy, living in Charlotte, and this is his daughter, CJ.
Nice.
She let me take some photos of her and paint her up massively on a wall, and she got to see it.
Cool.
When you're like in the zone, you find yourself really enjoying different aspects of it more than others. Because obviously, when you set yourself up with a hyper realistic kind of goal, you're going to be hard on yourself. I don't know if how much enjoyment there is, or it's sort of like the enjoyment of putting a puzzle together, like you're enjoying the accomplishment.
And this is the thing I hate so much about this way I go about life, where I just jump from thing to thing because of whatever.
Yeah.
I guess once I paint like a face to the maximum level that I think is what I'm trying to achieve, like as far as that realism goes, the next time I do that, it's no longer really like that interesting, because I've done that.
You're not like impressed with it.
It may be a different, maybe a different person with different lighting or different setting or whatever, but it's just like it's still you're just kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And so like that's why like doing the crayon and stuff, like that was so fun, because I hadn't ever done that before, and it's just different.
Yeah, it's cool.
And so now I just like I do enjoy painting realism, and I certainly want to continue to do it. But I also would love to try to tackle pieces where like I only use a roller, or like I only use a, airless sprayer, or like just some different sort of medium where I'm like forcing myself to not just go to this hyper detailed point. I want to start to like, let go of some of that and be a little more figurative and abstract, and just kind of dive into other areas of the art world, because there's so many. Yeah. You can have so many different styles and looks. Yeah. So it seems so boring to just stick with one, just doing realism all the time or something.
Well, there's nothing wrong with, I mean, once you find your passion in your area, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But of course, I mean, you're branching out, and finding something new. If there's something else that's...
And this is strictly for me. Yeah. Look, I have a whole lot of respect and like admiration for the people who have like found their their thing and their brand and their look. Like I want that so badly. Yeah. But I have no idea what that looks like for me. So I'm just gonna keep.
Well, you're finding it. I mean, you're finding it. There's a continuity, but at the same time, your pieces are very different. When you look at different.
What do you guys think are like differences that you see in some of my work? Maybe like let's.
Yeah, let's flip through a few other things. Yeah, there's another one on the next page where we talk about the Purell Gold.
There's a through line definitely of realism and like really good lighting and shading and like reflection and even drop shadows, shading, that kind of stuff. That's really impressive. So
it's interesting for me to look at this one now, because the shadow is like so bad and so unrealistic, and now like I have such way more of an appreciation for light and shadow, because I've just like studied so many different like ways of setting up lights to see what casts differently and all that sort of thing. And now this is like, just looking at this now, it's all like one color and it's so dark. And
the piece we're referring to is your Purell Gold that you did during COVID. Hilarious reference to you'd have to remember now, because it's like you forget the Purell shortage. You couldn't get actual Purell brand hand sanitizer for a period of time. So you did this piece on a wall, and it went viral. It got picked up by the New York Times. You were on the cover of the art section of a New York Times featuring COVID
May 2020.
COVID works of art. Yeah. You said May what? 2021?
May 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
Wow. That was right in the beginning.
Yeah. No, I painted that in like March or like, because Purell went out real fast, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it was like
things started popping off in like February 2020, right?
Yeah.
And then March was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then maybe like April. So maybe I painted in like April or something. Yeah. I can't quite remember.
What was the story with this piece? Was this just a for fun piece?
Or 100% for fun. Yeah. Which is so, like, this is what I would love to still have the drive to be doing this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because like, because I hadn't painted anything like that, so I was like, "This will be so much fun to paint."
Yeah. So you just got permission from whoever.
Yeah.
Whoever owned that building just said, "Hey, can I put this on the wall?"
And this was actually just torn down like a couple weeks ago.
Oh no!
But the developer's really cool, and they're super awesome. Yeah. And they filmed the whole thing, like tearing it down.
Oh yeah.
And kept a bunch of the bricks for me.
Oh, cool.
So I now have some of the like Purell bottle bricks on it and stuff. Yeah. Which is pretty fun.
That's nice, because that's the wild thing about this kind of medium is
it's gone forever.
Your work is tied to the building.
I think that's so awesome. Yeah, that's the coolest part. Like,
because now
there's something romantic about that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Something romantic about. I remember that time when that Purell bottle was on the wall. That was pretty cool. It's a fun little thing, particularly because this was just a passion project for you, just like for fun.
And I spent 80 hours on it.
80 hours?
Yeah.
So
over 6 days.
Okay, so it's 6 days.
20 I just went out there every day
nonstop.
Until it was done, and then posted it, because I just it's like if you're doing like that sort of thing,
obviously
I wanted to paint this because like I knew it was going to be fun for me to try some of the different techniques to get this sort of look. Number one. Number two, I thought it was just hilarious.
Yeah.
I showed it to a few other people, and they thought it was hilarious too.
Yeah.
And number three, I wanted like some sort of exposure from it,
right?
And, social media wise.
Yeah.
And so like obviously you have to be pretty quick on those things. So posting it and getting it done fast was a priority. So.
All right. Some other pieces you've done recently, the past few years. The wall in the store Glory Days. What really jumps out to me is the paperwork. Now, is that the hardest part of this, or is there...
What was the hardest part
of this particular piece?
The hardest part was probably just all the taping. Like super
Oh,
annoying
gosh.
Just
just getting the lines exactly
and
right.
Like there's a door, there's a utility box cover that you can barely see there.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even pick up on that.
There's piping on the ceiling where you can see that it comes out at the top.
Yeah.
The ceiling isn't like perfectly lined. There's this little like pipe cover on the bottom right.
Yeah.
So there's like just all this different crap on this door that you have to like work around and try to make it all like just blend into the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and speaking of continuity with the whole, like, you have your sketch style here that sort of plays out on the Dreamer wall with the crayon, seeing the...
Yeah, and so all of these sketches that are on the paper are from a sketchbook that the owner had. So this
really?
Cool. This was for a T-shirt company, an apparel store.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Glory Days. And they have a really creative, fun owner. Named JD, and he has this old sketchbook with all these designs in them and stuff.
Nice.
So we pulled some of the stuff from that. So
that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like the piece you did at the Giddy Goat, that giant wall there.
Oh,
now
that is at the Giddy Goat.
Yep.
What drives me crazy are the hands, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
did that take you the longest on that piece, or is it
100%?
100%.
I mean,
man, that's...
the background definitely took a while because it's all 100%. There's no taping or anything, and so like all of that background vegetation, that's all those like hard line stuff. It's like a lot of just like going in with the black and then going back in with the green and then picking the black back up, and it just
over and over
just takes a while. So the entire piece was pretty grueling, to be honest.
Yeah.
But man, I went entirely overboard on the hands. Like I did the fingerprints.
Oh man,
and everything.
Crazy.
But I mean, it was so big. It's like if you're ever gonna take the opportunity to paint fingerprints on a hand, you might as well do it.
Yeah, that's true.
On this one, right? So
that's true.
So now I don't ever have to do that again.
But now it's your thing. We really want a hand. Darion, you're the only man who can do it.
we need fingerprints.
Man, how long did this particular piece take?
How long? Hour-wise, I have absolutely no idea. But
just kind of general time for a couple months on that. Yeah.
Of working on it every day.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the kind of when somebody commissions you for that. Like, take the Rock Hill piece, since it's the most local one for us. Was there kind of a back and forth on the design process for that, or do you kind of say like, "Hey, this is what I was thinking," and people are just like, "Great, we like it. Let's go with it,"
So for me, I usually try to send a couple designs just after initial talks.
Yeah.
And one of the designs usually is something that's a little more like PG or more in line with what they want necessarily. I shouldn't say PG. It sounds like I'm doing something like super political driven or whatever. But I always try to do something that's a little more like, out there and fun that I think would be really cool to paint and have on the wall. That's not necessarily in line with everything that they said. And then I try to do something that would be a bit more in line with what they said, but in a cooler way. And then hopefully you try to find like a middle balance.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally they just say, "Oh yeah, let's go with that other piece. That's really cool." Or they'll be like, "Yeah, no, let's stay more in line with our stuff."
Gotcha.
But in this case with Rock Hill, I think the first design that I did was like this guy like wearing like raggedy black and white clothes and stuff, and then it was no face, just from his hat, the end of his hat just dripping color all the way down his face and then onto his clothes. It was just all over his clothes and stuff.
Okay.
So it was this kind of like what I was trying to do is just this like really old Southern photo of maybe some like Civil War era type, looking guy.
Gotcha.
And then just this burst of like creativity and color coming out of his face.
Okay.
So that one was a little more like, wild, and they were like,
a little wild.
They were like, yeah, maybe not with that one. And so then I just, sent him a couple ideas, like, word wise, not actually drawn up, just so that we could kind of get on the same page. And they really struck with the, the idea of having a child up there, creating something. So,
right,
so we went with that.
Yeah, fits with the vision.
Yep.
What do you do with when you get a design like that? You have your sort of like design ideas that didn't get picked, for whatnot. Do you ever kind of recycle those in future projects?
Sometimes, but usually they're so specific that like it's you can't really do that. I mean, sometimes you can just kind of take the overlying idea of it and just regurgitate that somehow. Or just like something entirely new develops from that. So those are always kept and always
borrow ideas from it.
Those like I definitely always go back and look at older stuff and see if any of it's viable. Most of it I think is just crap because as you develop, you're like, the stuff you did 5 years ago,
hate your earlier work.
Crap. So, I wonder if 20 years from now I'll be like, ooh, that's nice. When does that happen? At what point? Like, how many years have to go by for me to be like, yeah, okay, that one's cool.
Our guest last week, we had Frankie Zombie on. You worked with him on the Spartanburg Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, and he didn't even mention me.
He didn't.
I was like, damn. Like, no, I'm just kidding.
So you did one of the letters in the Spartanburg.
Yes, in Spartanburg. Yeah. I also
you helped with the one in Charlotte, right?
With his. Yeah.
Okay.
So like I painted his, but like he and I, that was the whole day, just me and him, and one other guy. I actually don't remember his name. I don't even know that Frankie knew him. I think all three of us had just met each other like within those first 5 minutes of like taping the letters off and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just like, all right, this is my guy, and I'm gonna help him out for the entire day, and
nice.
I'm just gonna do his letter with him until we're done.
Awesome.
So that's what we did.
That's
and
cool.
then because of that, he invited me to
to
do the Spartanburg Black Lives Matter mural, and I did the T.
Okay.
Second T maybe. I can't remember if it was the first or second in Matter, but yeah, I did a child's face, and I actually what I was actually trying to do was the entire face, with the eyes being on the top of the T, and then the mouth being on the bottom of the T, and the nose obviously in the middle.
Yeah.
But I ran out of paint after I finished the nose, so I just took red paint.
Yeah.
Borrowed it from I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
All of that's a blur now. It's crazy. It's been like, it feels like a week ago, but it was like 4 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I borrowed some red paint and just filled in the rest of it because I didn't have the rest of that pipe. It actually looked really cool because it was kind of like covering up his mouth, like you know they can't talk, they can't have no sort of voice.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, that was a super cool experience. Super cool thing to be a part of, and then having that like right in front of the like town hall and like just that area in Spartanburg. And I hadn't really been to Spartanburg before. I've driven through, but so it was cool to see the city in that sort of aspect. Cool. Yeah.
What are you listening to right now? Do you go through phases where you like really get into an artist and like as like musicians or
a little bit? Yeah, I guess I do because like, and that's that sort of like hyper focused thing. I'll get really into a certain sound. Yeah. And then I'll just like hyper focus on that genre or that specific artist. Yeah.
I do that. Drives my wife crazy.
And then I'll overplay it just like crazy. And then like 2 weeks it's gone. I don't ever want to hear it again. So yeah, no, I kind of do that, but I tend to go a lot from like I'll listen to. I mean, I switch it up a lot depending on what I'm doing. If I'm just like sitting doing it on the computer, like looking at like different applications or just reading whatever, I'll listen to some like classical. But I'll also like I listen to classical sometimes when I work out. So that's kind of weird. Like those don't really seem.
You wouldn't put those. Yeah. You wouldn't guess those.
Yeah. I tend to be more into softer tone things. I mean, I've definitely listened to dance
music. Use that
to
try to calm down your brain because you're trying to slow yourself down.
Maybe
that
is. Yeah, maybe that is it.
What are you reading right now?
Man, I don't read at all.
Reading? No,
okay. I don't read at all.
You do audiobooks or anything?
No, I don't. I really want to get into audiobooks because I think it'd be like super nice, like when on the road or whatever. I do read a lot of articles.
Yeah.
So I'll go like online and read like try to be reading things that I think are quite resourceful and going to be like helpful for me to know.
Yeah.
I try to use my time online as much as I can to actually like benefit, my knowledge and help me get better at something. Or
describe, well, I'll keep with my 3 questions here. And what are you watching right now? Any shows or movies you?
Just watched Oppenheimer. That was really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
I did watch it in like 3 segments because it's 3 hours.
Yeah, it's so long.
So it took me 3 days.
This guy went to Atlanta to see it in IMAX.
Yeah.
This guy.
And did was 3 hours like? Did it just fly by?
It kind of did.
Because IMAX, that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, and it's probably
That's
the biggest
different.
IMAX I've been to. So I was so lost and like I honestly missed a lot of things because I was just so lost in looking at it.
Did it have the like chair motions and stuff, or like
no,
any sort of like?
No.
Okay.
It was just a big screen.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Now describe a little bit about the training that you got. So you said you worked with Matt Moore, kind of pick things up and things like that. But otherwise, you just kind of watched what other people were doing locally, and I'm sure YouTube videos and things like that.
No, honestly, for art, art wise, and this is so crazy. Like I didn't really watch anything as far as YouTube or whatever. And then I also didn't really watch anybody paint. I reached out to Osiris.
Yeah.
Right, before I'd even started.
Yeah.
Just to see like, hey, come by and just watch you
Yeah.
paint. Just try to pick things up. And he was working on a pretty big job, I think, for like Novel Uptown, where he was on some like huge lift, and like I was like, all right, whatever. So he was like, yeah, probably not good for this one. But no, I basically just got the cans and started painting. I mean, that is literally all I did, and I just did it until I got it. I'm not saying it happened really quickly or overnight, but I just kept
practiced.
And I was basically just going around to a bunch of different restaurants and businesses in Charlotte and saying, hey, you have this cool wall right here. Can I paint it?
Yeah.
And if they said yes, I'd paint it. I'd ask them to pay for materials. If they said no, I'd be like, all right, I'll still paint it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't care. I just wanted to practice this stuff.
Place to do it. Yeah.
Nice. And I was bartending, so I had some extra money and extra time when I was off, and I worked at night and tried to paint during the day and just learned my way through it.
Fantastic.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's very inspiring.
But of course, I absolutely as you mentioned, Matt Moore, and there's plenty of other artists in Charlotte who were super helpful in like sharing their knowledge and sharing just tips on like different techniques and different caps to use and just all the little things that would take you a while to figure out if you didn't talk to somebody who had been doing it, Yeah. So definitely appreciative of that.
Awesome. We'll take a quick break here and then pop back with a little game.
Did you forget that your business needed to renew its TCC before August? This process takes 45 days, which may cause you to miss these upcoming deadlines. When you e-file using Tax Bandits, you don't need a TCC code. Just import your form data, generate and review forms, and then Tax Bandits transmits them for you via the Fire system. Don't miss your deadline. Just go to taxbandits.com and file your forms today.
And we're back with the second half of the Bandit Room. Today we're drinking on the Sleeping Giant spice-flavored rum today from our local Rock Hill distillery. What do you think, Darion?
It's fantastic. I love spice rum, and this is great.
Yeah. We had the guys on the show last season.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
A couple guys.
I'm going to have to listen to that one.
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah. We're going to play another round of Subjective Objections. We introduced this last week with our guest, Frankie Zombie. Today we'll be playing it with Mr. Darion Fleming. So how this works, we're going to pull up a piece of art, and we'll go ahead and preface that it's a bad format for an audio medium. So we'll be putting a segment of this on our YouTube, and people can see it there.
Yep.
So we'll pull up, the people can see what artwork we're referring to here. So we'll pull up 2 different pieces of art. Caleb and I will be competing to decide which one we think is better, but ultimately, our opinions don't matter because we're making you the arbiter of what's good and what's bad. All right. So since you're hard on yourself, I'm assuming you're going to be
legally. My opinion is most important here. So
yeah, it's true. It's true. That's the beauty of it.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that's part of what you're signing there.
That's part of what you're signing.
No. All right. So first one here.
Fantastic. Let's pull it up.
We got two pieces one by Edward Hopper and one by Andrew Wyeth. They're both women looking out of a window. I made these, so I know which one's my.
Yeah.
So the problem with my answers.
Any thoughts? Hold on, I haven't answered.
I guess.
But yeah. What do you think of these pieces?
But like, I mean, you can they're definitely different style pieces, so it's hard to like. I guess I'm just going to have to answer based on like who I think did the best job per the style that they painted it in.
Yeah.
Because the right side is like, it's obviously like super realistic and well done, and
what is he primarily watercolor, Andrew Wyeth?
Yeah,
because these are different mediums. I want to say because Hopper's almost always oil painting.
Yeah,
Wyeth I want to say is watercolor.
That sounds right.
I mean, I will just say like, personally, the one on the left, the one on the right is just so boring to look at, right? And like the one on the left is it has about the same amount going on, but it's definitely done in a way that like compositionally it's more interesting to look at, the way the lines kind of like clash with each other, those like the light coming from the window and the way that the building line hits that corner of the 90-degree angle from the window is really cool, and the way that the bed kind of like splits that line from the light of the window. Like all of those parts of it are really cool, and then the colors obviously like kind of utilizing those bold like primary colors makes it just way more interesting to look at. So all of that to say, I would say Edward.
You going Hopper?
I went Hopper.
You went Hopper?
I went Hopper.
Caleb wins this round.
Nice.
Caleb wins this round. I went Wyeth on this one. I like it. Both are fantastic.
You thought I would take the realism route.
Well, no. Oh, no. I was just answering for me.
Okay,
I was just answering for me.
Okay.
I'm not trying to get
gotcha.
inside. What does Darion think?
Okay.
Yeah.
right.
So pop art. We got Roy Lichtenstein and Andy Warhol.
And we should be specific. We're specifically judging these individual pieces.
Yeah.
Not like the
not
artist
the
overall.
artist overall, but these pieces. Yeah.
I didn't know Andy Warhol had done Superman.
Yeah, right. That's interesting.
What's the answer, Darion?
Yeah, I think Warhol.
Okay.
Warhol
is my answer in this one. Just they're both like similar time frames, and I think it's just really cool that Warhol, like I've never seen this Warhol. I had no idea that he did Superman, but like the pulling the lines twice from the outline of the Superman body and the form is like, and just kind of separating them like that is like a very modern thing to do. And
but it's also
it's really cool.
It's a very Warhol thing too, though, because like the triple Elvis kind of thing, or like it's a thing he's done with other mediums.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, I mean, Lichtenstein is. I mean, that's a really cool piece, obviously, but it's it doesn't have like that. For me, that aspect of Warhol's is like the separating factor. And it's just like kind of trying something a little different. Gotcha. You know what I mean?
Totally.
What did you say, Caleb?
I said Lichtenstein.
You said Lichtenstein. I said Warhol. All
nice.
right.
There you go.
I'm on the board.
On the board. All right. We got a mural by Keith Haring, and I think this is just a painting by Basquiat. I got my answer.
You got your answer?
I got your answer.
Yeah. What's your answer, Dan?
My answer is Haring. I've always been such a fan of his cleanliness. It is like just such clean lines, and like Basquiat is a legend, of course, but I just think there's a little less. It's easier to obtain that style, in my opinion, than it is Haring's, and that for me is why I would pick Haring on this one.
Gotcha.
And I guess I'm kind of classifying that into them as artists and not just these pieces.
Sure.
Personally, but I mean, to be fair, like both of these pieces are like very reminiscent of their entire works.
Yeah.
So very representative. What did you say on this one, Caleb?
I said Haring.
You went Haring? Okay. Caleb wins this round.
All right.
Are you guys like trying to pick different ones
we're not.
than each other? You're just happening.
We just happen to be picking
crazy.
opposite each one. Yeah.
Man.
Sometimes we line up.
After three, I was starting to think like maybe they just know that
unless
That was
Charles
kind of
is
the point
looking
of
at
writing them down.
my
Oh, yeah. I see.
unless you're cheating here. But
All right.
So
they got street art edition here.
Yep. Another piece by
Oh,
Invader and one by Banksy. Both movie references.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, there you go.
Nice that you
paired those
Did that.
nicely.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of both of these people? Or you?
Oh yeah, massively.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both prolific. Banksy more so, but Invader just like the way that Invader does it is just so cool. Like no one else like that. Man, all right, let me pick. I guess I'm gonna say, just for this specific one, I think I would be more stoked to like stumble upon the Invader.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Just because.
Yeah.
I just feel in this sense.
Well,
that,
they are
like,
elusive. I mean, it's like an elusive thing. For if you're in America, there's only a few cities that you can even find his work.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
And Banksy, well, he's the same problem because people rip it off the wall.
100%. 100%.
But I don't know. I guess Banksy feels like he's got more of an industry behind him because I don't know.
Especially now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I can articulate my answer, but I'm going to say Invader.
You say Invader? What did you say,
fine.
Caleb?
I said Banksy.
You went Banksy? Okay, I went Invader on this one.
I knew you would go
Hey,
Invader.
you guys. You knew I was going to go Invader?
Well, you
we did this last time.
You like
and
love
we did.
Invader, so
I do
you're,
like Invader.
yeah. No.
All right.
These are kind of large scale. I don't know what. They're kind of in the same vein in my head, but I don't know if I can explain why. One by Thomas Hart Benton and one by J. Stacy Utley.
I've seen many of Benton's. I definitely know that style very well.
Yeah.
I didn't know his. I wouldn't have been able to say that is Thomas Benton, but
yeah,
I've not seen the. Wow, how do you say that? Utley?
Yeah, Utley. I'm not sure. I should look that up ahead of time. That was at the Mint in Charlotte.
Oh, was it? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
The Utley was?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was gonna say the Bentons are pretty.
Yeah, the Bentons. That one's at the Met in New York.
Yeah.
It's like a big full room piece. Yeah.
My answer is Benton. I'm always been a fan of like lighting and shadow and just how you can use that in paintings to create just incredible depth and stuff. And I just don't. The Utley piece is, I mean, it certainly has depth, like especially considering that it's like, collage work. But you just with paints, you're just never going to get the same sort of depth that I feel like with a collage. So that Benton piece is really cool though. So Benton's is my answer.
Awesome.
Did you get that one, Caleb? You won?
No, I didn't. I went Utley.
You went Utley? I went Utley too.
Okay. No points. No points on that one.
Disagreeing with you here.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Some more realism here. Kind of on. It was what I had in my head. I should have looked at this name.
Kehinde.
Wiley. Yeah,
Kehinde Wiley. Yeah.
Wiley and Magritte.
That's in the Mint,
course.
right?
I mean,
is that one in the Mint?
The Mint. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Wiley one. Yeah. That's here in Charlotte.
Not the Magritte.
Not the Magritte. That one might be at MoMA.
As much as I am a Wiley fan, just the setting of this and what's going on is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's also just super well done.
Yeah.
And that coat is just so soft. And I would love to know the background on this one with the apple. I mean, I've definitely seen it before, but I don't have any idea of the background. But yeah, I'm gonna go Magritte.
Darn. I went Wiley.
Yeah, me too.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, normally I would pick Wiley.
Yeah.
It makes me think a bit more.
Yeah.
I guess, and I kind of like that about it.
Yeah.
Okay, photography.
Photography
edition. This one's by Saul Leiter and one's by William Eggleston. Both early color street photographers.
Caleb, you're a fan of photography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I put these in.
Yeah. That's why these made it in.
These made it. These are two of my favorite, some of my favorite images ever.
What are the time periods? When would these have been taken?
I want to say Leiter was 50s and Eggleston was more like 60s, 70s.
It's
timeless
quality.
The more I look at them, the more I start to you know how it is. The more you start to put yourself in that moment, and then it either resonates a moment or memory for yourself, or it doesn't, or But that the Leiter makes me think of my grandpa and just brings back some of those memories, and which I think is the coolest thing about photography is that it stimulates those sort of things in you, right? And then but I mean, from a composition standpoint, I think compositionally the Leiter's is money, but I just love again like the lighting and the shadow and just the way those two components work with each other. I just and the hand, like look at how blown out the hand is on that shadow. I just think that's so cool.
On the Eggleston.
Yeah, on the Eggleston. Yeah. So I'm pretty split on these, honestly. Like the longer I think about it, my initial gut reaction was Eggleston, but the longer I think about it, I want to say lighter. So I think I'm gonna say lighter.
Darn, I went Eggleston.
You went Eggleston?
Dang.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
The lighting. Yeah. I that was my initial.
You're killing us.
No.
We're tied up
still,
by the way. 2-2.
I'm just keeping it interesting.
Yeah.
No, totally. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Otto Pancock.
Pancock and Kolwitz?
And Kathy Kolwitz.
Yeah.
You guys ready for mine?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just right out, like, immediately, I think Kolwitz just the...
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, like, such a more emotional piece to me. Like, I mean, I know that this is, like, a style. I'm not going to say I know exactly what style this is, but that...
Kind of icon.
Yeah, exactly. Iconographic type of style. It's just, like... The bodies are always so like awkwardly formed, and it's just for me, it's just like takes sort of the emotion out of it, and so and also just like compositionally, it's just like with the kid just like kind of popping up on the bottom, and the other kid on the left side is just 100% Kolwitz on this one.
I went Pancock.
Oh,
dang.
Me too.
Yeah.
Dang. Keeping it tight and competitive today,
fun,
aren't we?
Apparently. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, I threw another couple photographers in here that I really like.
It's almost absurdist.
We got one on Vivian Meyer and one Gary Winogrand, both street photographers, but black and white this time.
That's cool.
Inform us about these people. I'm not familiar
okay,
with these
so
people.
Meyer was really interesting because she, and she became very famous like kind of more recently because she photographed like tons, like hundreds of thousands of images and never showed anyone like her whole life. So like nobody knew who she was until her stuff was auctioned off and like an estate sale, and they picked up. And she is like, I mean, masterclass level of art that she did.
That's pretty awesome.
So she's really interesting. And then Winogrand was kind of helped popularize a lot of what people now kind of consider street photography. So I got my pick. I didn't write it down, but I got it.
I mean, it's just way more mysterious, the Vivian Myers. I feel like I can kind of put the event together, but for the Winogrand, and it takes a little bit out of it. So like the Myers, just like it's just really just thought provoking to look at, I guess. So yeah, Meyer for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. That's my pick too.
Yeah,
Meyer. Well, architecture.
Fun.
It's the TWA terminal in New York at JFK by Eero Saarinen, and the Ennis House in LA by Frank Lloyd Wright.
And you said you actually went to this terminal recently?
Yeah. It's they turned it into a hotel, so you can go walk around. And
wow.
So it's part of JFK? Or it's connected to it somehow?
It's connected.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the is it Eero Saarinen?
So. Yeah.
Eero Saarinen. That one just is it speaks to me a bit more. I think it's just like I definitely love like the thing I love most about Frank Lloyd Wright's work is like his line, like super linear stuff and very angled, and I don't think like this specific example is like the best example of that in his work, and so I'd pick Saarinen on this one just because I think it's like a little more flowy and has that kind of curvature to it. It's really cool. It's really modern.
Yeah.
The ceiling is badass. Look at that.
Yeah.
Like
it's
how do they even make that?
I don't know. Cool. I went Saarinen.
Saarinen? Okay, you go edging ahead.
I
went with right on that one, so yeah.
Yeah. So
the old comparison, Picasso and Braque.
Wait, aren't these the same people?
Yeah, right.
I'm going to say in this specific one, I enjoy the Picasso more. I like you. The palettes are pretty similar. Like I'm trying to find like, some defining like differences that I can kind of harp on, but I mean they really are so similar.
Yeah.
And even like the set, like what she's like playing a violin or a harp or guitar or whatever that may be on the rock. And
it looks like
Picasso, they just got 3 of them maybe kind of playing. But yeah, I just think Picasso's got a little more going on, kind of fun to look at.
Yeah. And that one's cool too. So that one's at the MoMA in New York, and they have like a bunch of different versions that he kind of did too as he was working through it. That one's pretty fun. But I did
of the same setting.
Yeah,
oh, that's
and
cool.
like kind of different. It's pretty neat, and the colors change a little bit, and kind of it's cool. But I went Brock on this.
Okay.
one.
Okay.
So I think
me too. So
wow,
it's all tied up.
I will say I like the vertical composition.
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah. All right, last one. Yes, last one. We got murals by Osiris Reign.
Wow,
and
you
Matt
guys, that's fun.
Let's make him.
And they're both in it too.
Let's make him uncomfortable.
They're both in it. I love that. That's funny.
I didn't take a look at these. You added these last minute,
Charles.
Charles.
Yeah, I did. I was like, let's mess with him on this one.
I would say Matt's, but just like it's. I'm such a massive fan of the like glitch thing because number one, it's so hard to paint, and it's such a flex when you do it well. And I know like design wise, I know what that process looked like for him creating that, and like the way that he did the flower and stuff, like it's just so fire. And then the lighting of the hands is so money. Absolutely crushed it with, and it's Jen's hand on the bottom. Jen, she goes by Two Hills. Jen Hill, another artist, muralist in Charlotte. We share a studio with, and then that's Matt's hand on top. So like just having like built all the reference photography in the studio, and just like seeing him like piece by piece doing the glitching on the flower. I just have a deeper look into the process of that one. So just that one's a bit more special. But I mean, I love the Rain Man, and I love the colors in that. That is one of my absolute all-time favorite gradients, is that kind of synth wavy type of gradient with that like dark purple to pink to orange to yellow, just looks so sick. And then he always kills it with the butterfly flower portraiture combo, where he just like meshes it in a way that my brain can't even understand. So yeah, both awesome pieces, but I would go with Matt's on this one. But I love that you threw that in there. little twisty little thing there.
Well, thanks for playing. Looks like Caleb won this round, so congratulations.
So it doesn't even matter.
Last time we talked. What did you say?
I went with Osiris on that one.
Osiris? Okay. So
who won last time?
I would have won that question, but
who won with Frankie?
We literally tied last time.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. And we just
you almost tied this time.
Almost tied. Yeah. Any final thoughts?
Anything
to promote?
Yeah.
Tell people where to find you. DaFlemingo?
Yeah, DaFlemingo, DaFlemingo. And by the way, that name, my last name is Fleming, so that's why Flamingo is spelled incorrectly.
Yes.
My last name is Flem. So. And then website, DaFlemingoArt.com. And that's about it. And I'm pretty ghost-like on the social media currently, but I have some pretty fun stuff coming up, and I'm excited to try to dive into it more and do a lot more like social media wise and be way more consistent on there. So
that's great. I look forward to
but
seeing
I appreciate you guys doing this. This is an awesome podcast that you guys are running, and the fact that you're having artists out to talk through their process and stuff is really cool. So thank you guys.
Thanks for being on it.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining this episode. Stick around next week and see what we talk about.
Bandit Room is a production of Span Enterprises, located in sunny Rock Hill, South Carolina. We've been developing, supporting, and growing successful IRS e-filing and business management solutions since 2010. Go to spanenterprises.com now to learn more. The views and opinions expressed in the Bandit Room are those of the guests, and do not necessarily reflect or state the opinions of Span Enterprises. No information should be considered as tax, legal, or other professional advice.